Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me, well, you find me this morning filled with good cheer and a great sense of relief. I did my latest pre-Balmer training run last night, and while the last four runs have been agony, last night's went really well. I'm still a long way from being a runner or even remotely fit, but I'm in much better shape than I was about 6 weeks ago. Also, West Ham won in Europe last night and now top their group. Just saying. Besides all that, today is Friday. I have no specific plans for the weekend, but a few days away from the computer screen and the camera will be very welcome indeed. Oh boy, it's been a long week. Just as a small aside, if you're a regular user of the LinkedIn social media platform, you'll know that they send you a list of the people and the companies that have been checking out your profile over the past week. I got my list yesterday and it made a refreshing change. Normally, it's just a list of rival publications trying to find out what is actually going on in the market they claim to cover. This one was a bit different. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Yeah, I wonder if the CITB and the NFDC realise they're leaving behind a digital footprint. Also, kind of wonder what they were checking out. We may never know. Incidentally, I know this is small, tiny, and inconsequential thing for a Friday, but I've got nowhere better to be, so what the hell. After yesterday's show, in which we highlighted the International Powered Access Federation's new accident reporting system, I received a very nice message from the IPAF CEO, Peter Douglas. Now, I say he's the CEO because I had to check. His LinkedIn profile says Peter Douglas, helping to improve safety and driven by reducing accident and saving lives in the powered access industry worldwide. There's no mention of his job title, no self-aggrandizing, no self-congratulation, and there's no medal around his neck either. Even though he is at the very top of a huge and global organization, he's placed his service to the industry above his job title. Some of his fellow CEOs in this industry sector might do well to follow his lead in this department too. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It is Friday, hallelujah. It is Friday the 7th of October, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Wacker Neuson enters the equipment rental fray. That's what their question of the day is about. As Bobcat forges ahead with electric equipment, Liebherr unveils how such equipment might be charged in the future. And we're once again making two stops on the road to Balmer. Plus, following our recent discussions over the presence of drugs in the demolition and construction industry, we'll be bringing you a case study that brings all of that issue into very, very sharp focus indeed. And we'll get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to three people from all corners of the political and religious spectrum. Elijah Muhammad from the Nation of Islam, former head of the Gestapo, Heinrich Himmler, and Nobel Peace Prize winner, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. That would make for an interesting dinner party, wouldn't it? Happy birthday also to singer and former cougar, John Mellencamp. I'll quickly gloss over the fact that today is the birthday of Russian leader and Darth Vader wannabe Vladimir Putin. But it's also happy birthday to ice skater Jane Torville, singer Sam Brown, and Radiohead frontman Tom York. But far more importantly, a very happy birthday to the public face of the Plantworks exhibition, a long-term supporter of this show. Many happy returns to our friend and my wife's old schoolmate, Louise Carney. Many happy returns to them, one and all. There was a time when equipment manufacturers and dealers wouldn't dare offer their equipment for hire to avoid competing with their rental customers. Funnily enough, there were exceptions, bizarrely. Apparently, it was okay to hire hydraulic breakers and forklifts back in the day, but excavators and backhoe loaders were always seen as a step too far. I distinctly remember the debacle that followed the decision by the old Caterpillar dealer, Leverton, to open up a dedicated rental operation. There were threats of cancelled backhoe loader orders, and things got very heated indeed. Today, however, it appears that it is entirely possible to run with the hare and to hunt with the hounds.
We rent Wacker equipment when we have spikes in demand and to always have the right machine on the job site. Wacker has the machines that fit our job site and application needs. And that's why we're very satisfied with Wacker. We can't cover all of our own projects with our machines. That's why we turn to Wacker. Stefan, hello, what can I do for you? I need your help. I need several machines. I'm sure I can offer you something. Wacker has a vast network of sales and rental locations, which means we're close to our customers at all times. Because we never have to travel too far, we're always able to get to the job site quickly. For us here at Lindermeyer, it's important that our partners react as quickly as we do, so they can respond on short notice. With Wacker you rent equipment directly from the manufacturer. We have the right attachments and the right construction machine for you. The advantage of working with Wacker is that they have all it takes for whatever job you need. Mini excavators, vibratory plates, sometimes even a dumper or single drum roller if necessary. Wacker rental program fits our needs very well. Our products are always state-of-the-art and well-maintained. We have a large product portfolio, so we can offer our customers the right equipment to get their job done right and on time.
Das richtige Gerät anbieten können, seine Arbeiten termin- und qualitätsgerecht auszuführen.
What's important to me with Wacker is the personal contact. You know the employees from the branch, be it the workshop management, rental management, or branch management, and that's how we can work together so well. Check out our rental program. We're sure to have the right solution for you.
Yeah, it looks like that one is aimed at continental Europe, at least for now. Be interesting to see if it does actually make landfall here in the UK, but I do wish Wacker every success with their rental initiative and hope they manage to skirt around a Leverton-style debacle. Despite the news that UK households could be paid to switch off electrical appliances this winter to avert the very real prospect of winter blackouts, the electrification of the plant industry appears to be unstoppable. And those fine folks at Bobcat have a new film on that very subject. Yeah, I know what you're thinking probably about now. Oh yes, Mark, that's all well and good, but how am I going to charge that handsome Bobcat machine in the middle of a nationwide blackout? Well, stick around. A possible solution may be mere seconds away. Now, according to our friend Mr. Drew, a good morning to my neighbour, Luke Harris. Great to see you tuning in. I can't actually see Luke for some reason, but if Nick says he's here, then that's good enough for me. And as we all know, if we get a newcomer on board, we get them the welcome confetti. So, Luke, even if you are lurking in the background and I can't see you, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let me get Mr. Drew off the screen and we'll get back to the show. Now, it seems like every day now we're talking about some new advance in the field of electric construction equipment, like we've just seen, a new excavator, a new loader, a new hauler. It's all well and good, I hear you cry, but a lot of demolition and construction takes place in the middle of nowhere, just outside the back of beyond. As we mentioned earlier, there's no guarantee that the UK's national grid will be able to supply the necessary power this winter and possibly beyond. Where are we going to get our electrical power from? Thankfully, as is so often the case, Liebherr has you covered. I really hope that those power packs are on display at Bauma 2022, and I sincerely hope there's a product specialist on hand to explain them in greater detail. What I find really interesting in all of this is how companies like Liebherr and Volvo are producing not just the electric machines, but the means with which to power them. That really is a huge diversification, but I guess who better to power the construction equipment than the people making the equipment in the first place? I guess it makes sense.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility, and productivity. It's the added versatility that you need at the value you can afford. To find out more, visit millergroundbreaking.com.
We brought you a double dose of Bauma yesterday, and we're about to do precisely the same again today. We're going to take a look around the Yanmar stand, even though it doesn't actually exist yet. That will become clear in a second. But first, let us take a high-level view of things. Our thanks, as always, to those fine folks at Digger Guard for sponsoring this part of the show. Just obviously, Balmer will soon be upon us, and this section will very soon cease to exist. But we really do appreciate the support the Digger Guard have provided over the past few months. Hopefully, our post-Balmer coverage will be sponsored by somebody else, or quite possibly by Digger Guard themselves. We'll see.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
If you were here on Wednesday night for our breakfast show After Dark, you will know that things they basically took a very sharp left turn when one of our viewers mentioned the use of drugs on site. Turned out that a lot of our audience have witnessed this firsthand. In fact, it became the primary topic of conversation on yesterday's show as well. Now, I'm planning to do a show dedicated to this subject at some point in the very near future, hopefully with Callum McIntosh of the Scottish Plant Owners Association. But in the meantime, I started to do a bit of digging, get a bit of background. And during that digging, I came across a video that shows the problem from the other side, actually from the perspective of a Canadian drug user from within the construction industry. Take a look at this.
My name's Logan Carroll, and I was born and raised here in Manotick. This is my home that I grew up in. And I'm 25 years old, and I started using drugs when I was 12. I started drinking when I was 12. I started using pot when I was 13. I started using cocaine when I was 14. By 16, I'd had a basic operation where I had my wisdom teeth removed and I was prescribed opiates. And from there, I went through all of the opiates. I went from Percocets to Oxycontin, Oxycontin to hydromorphine, hydromorphine to fentanyl, fentanyl to heroin, and illicit fentanyl. I was an IV user by the time I was 19, and I came into recovery when I was 23. I started using opiates recreationally, and it was just that. It was something I did on weekends, something I did from time to time, and I was holding down some jobs using landscaping and metal fabrication. But as I started to progress in my addiction, I started using them at work, and I found that they were very helpful at work. Opiates specifically used to help a lot. Once I started using them, I mean, I worked long hours, I worked hard labor, and not having to worry about the physical symptoms of not feeling well to go to work, being hurt, being just tired. I mean, it really did help with that. And then once I started getting in that rhythm of using opiates while I was at work, I found that I really relied on them until there came a point where I was addicted to them. And I attributed being good at my job with being on opiates, and I couldn't do my job when I wasn't on opiates. So it turned into this vicious cycle of recycling the same thing, where I got this message in my head telling me that I could only do my job if I had opiates, and there came a time when I didn't have any, and then I couldn't do my job anymore. Once I became physically dependent on opiates, I attributed me being good at my job with me being on opiates. And when the time came where I didn't have any opiates, it made my job a lot harder. I started missing work. I started drug seeking, making sure, because I believed that the only way I was going to be good at my job is if I had these things. I came into recovery as a result of a concerned family friend reaching out to me and asking me if I was ready for help. And at that exact moment when she asked, I was ready for help. And luckily I said yes, and I forgot about it. About 15 days later, she called me and said, I got you into a treatment center in Calgary. Would you be willing to go? And I said yes, again, reluctantly. I didn't know what I was expecting. And honestly, it seemed easier to just continue to live the life I was living than to get sober. So about 10 months into my first bout with recovery, I relapsed. I was working full-time doing concrete out in Calgary. And I was working every day. I didn't really know when I was going to have any time off at that point. We kind of just worked until there wasn't any work, and there just seemed to always be work. So I was always working. I was not doing my regular recovery things that I had learned about in treatment. And I did relapse, yes. I had some family issues here at home as well, which probably played a factor into that. But I relapsed on some illicit fentanyl. It's like heroin, but It was fentanyl, and I overdosed at that. It took a few Narcans for me to come back, and CPR, and 2 days later I came out of the hospital and it was okay. But I continued to use after that for a few months. Yeah, I've been in recovery since October 15th, 2016. I've been abstinent from drugs and alcohol now since December 15th, 2017. I never thought I'd be able to work as hard again. Coming off of opiate dependency, you go through a lot of withdrawal symptoms, you get really weak, really tired, you get fatigued easily, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to work at the same level that I was working at. It took me a long time to get back to a place where it's hard to stop me now. I didn't think I'd ever have that again. I had that mental gap where I didn't believe that it was possible. I mean, breaking down the stigma around me being the way I was would have helped me reach to my employer for help before I got let go, I think, because I took a lot of events over and over and over again for them to finally say, hey, maybe you shouldn't come here anymore. But if I had been able to talk to them, they had a lot. I had benefits, I had a good job, and there were options for me, you know, but I didn't know about them. We didn't talk about it. Nobody talked about it. I never really understood the point of talking about the stigma because I just didn't see how it related to my life, but it really is that social thing, you know. If I was able to be like, hey, I'm having an issue with drugs and I would really like to see help, and I could talk to my employer about that, that would have been super helpful. But at that time, I didn't even consider it, you know. It was something I got myself into this, I'll get myself out kind of mentality, and that wasn't helpful, you know. It wasn't helpful at all. I feel it's my duty to talk about it, whether I want to or not. I mean, if my story helps anybody, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because somebody took that time to talk to me about it at some point. Unfortunately, it was in a place where it was just me and them, you know. He was just helping me, and I was just being helped, just alone. And I think that if I had more of the resources that I have now, back 10 years ago, I maybe wouldn't be in the position I'm in now. And it's really just about raising the bottom, you know. I don't want to have people get to the point that I got to get where I am now. It's simple as that. And if that means I have to go and do interviews and do my duties to give back what was freely given to me, then that's what I'm going to do.
I found that really interesting. One of the things I found most interesting about this is the fact that he was using drugs not as a crutch, as I described it yesterday, but more to get him through the working day, physically tired and possibly in physical pain as well, hence the use of prescription drugs and opiates and that kind of thing. I would imagine there are an awful lot of people in this industry who are doing precisely the same thing. Now, if you were here yesterday, you'll know that Callum McIntosh directed us to a statement from the Scottish Plant Owners Association that calls for action on within the industry on the misuse of drugs and alcohol on sites. If you'd like to have a look at that, I've literally just posted a link to it over in the chat. Go and take a look. It is well worth a viewing. Yeah, that's where we are today. Let me just roll this.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show, and it wraps up this week too. I'm sorry that we ended up the week on such a serious subject, but as I'm learning, I have virtually no control over the direction of this show or the conversation that takes place within it. You provide the flow. I just float along behind. There will be no Saturday social show this week. Sorry, Dan Cullen, but there won't. We've only just had an After Dark show, and I'm worried that you're all getting too much of a good thing. That's not true. I've actually produced, I think, 10 videos this week, including this one. And frankly, I'm talked out. I need to take a break and try and think of something new to say. But I will be back here again on Monday with more of whatever the hell this is. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and thanks for watching. Just a very quick one. Monday is, I think it's World Mental Health Day, Monday the 10th of October. So I know I do it as a bit of a throwaway thing. Look after your family, your friends and your colleagues, but please try and do that. And look out for their mental health, look out for their drug health as well. That's it for today. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on t'other side of this.